Oh, buddy, it's Thursday. That's interesting. Why am I... Oh, I know why. Hold on. There we go. I was being silly. I had a bunch of, I had stuff open. There we go. Okay, all good. I was like, there's no way I shouldn't be hearing myself. I have all that routing turned off. I had the window open. I forgot when I was changing all the stream title stuff. I forgot to close it. What a week. I don't even know how to accurately describe all of the things that have gone on. Is that real? I don't know if that's real. I need to turn this down for myself, actually. There we go. Oh yeah, that's right. I turned on the vibration after forgetting that that was a thing that existed. Whenever I see... Like, if you're real, then I guess I'll see you next time. But I feel like whenever I see any message that ends with "add me on Discord," that's gotta be a bot. I feel like, because generally people don't lead with that. It's kind of like the what was it back in the day with Skype? You'd get the fake. Wow, I'm just like really getting hammered here. They always wanted you to go away from Skype onto another thing. Are you gonna kill me? Yep. Actually, I think my... no, it doesn't really matter. Thank you. Okay, we need to get rid of you because your meteor is terrible and I hate it. Stop it. Oh, come on. So either I'm just too distracted for all of this right now because it's been a bit of a week, or this is just a bad matchup. Also, why do did I have Chloe in my party for a reason? Does this make sense? Anyway. Oh, also this should probably move out of the way, that would be good. They always wanted you to go to a place that wasn't Skype. Yeah, because they were fake. And not even like now where it's like they could be 100% fake. They were just, you know, a man behind the screen and not the picture that they showed. Now it could be entirely fake top to bottom. 100% fake down to the molecular level, as it were. Very interesting times that we live in. Yeah. So, interesting saga of what I was going through last time, talking about that motorized adapter for the hand grinder. I feel like I need to say this somewhere, so why not here? Because sometimes you learn lessons. Oh, hey, cool, thank you. Yeah, let's get rid of you first because God, you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. Oh, good. I feel like Chloe just needs to not be in the party most of the time because she really dies too quickly on almost everything. Who do I usually put in her place now? I'm trying to remember who I did last time. Maybe Grun? It might be Grun. Let's do that now. So yeah, before I get too distracted. Sometimes lessons are learned and then you just have to let people know, you know, hey, sometimes don't do a thing without doing some more research about it. Because I could have tried to dig deeper into... Where am I going? Didn't I go all the way over there? To... I feel like I walked all this way on... last time because I figured that I was gonna come out somewhere, but then I didn't. I just ran into a dead end. Is it really expecting me to walk all the way back? Like to get to the end of the tunnel and then just walk back through the beginning? If that's really what it expects me to do, that's a little silly. Especially because it gave me a save point and a heal station. And I'm pretty sure I didn't just miss it. Oh, you know what? Actually, that makes sense because I didn't leave from this like cliff top. I fell down it. I got thrown off of it. So I guess it makes sense. There is no other end. I just came to a wall. So I guess that's it's a mistake on my part. I forgot the lore of the game. Vaclav threw me off a mountain. And then Stella floated me to the bottom. No wonder. I guess I'm gonna have to walk back. So if I had dug through as many instances of people using what they say is compatible with it as possible, and forums and whatever, maybe I could have found people who had mine, even though it says, you know, that says it's compatible. Mind you, it's not like I was just trying to make it work. It does say that it was compatible. And see what their experience with it was, and if maybe they had figured out a way to make it work without everything going to shit. Because this is what happened. Because the last time we were talking about it, I got to a point where I said, okay, I'm pretty sure what's happening here is that it's a little bit too big, and even though it says that it's compatible, I think that's stretching the term compatible here. But, you know, you have the longer hex screw thing. Maybe you do a little finagling. So rather than having it around the body, like it says, which makes the rest of it not work properly, unless you're willing to sit there and feed in, you know, like one bean at a time into the little opening, because you can't fit the funnel because it's too high up now, and you can't force the funnel on without breaking the plastic. You end up having to get a little creative with the thing. So instead, it it ends up being, okay, I'll instead I'll shift it down a little bit, which means that the cradle now goes onto the collar, which only matters if I need to like dial something in a little bit more for whatever reason. New beans you're currently using are getting old, you know, whatever. And then that worked for a time, maybe twice. And then all of a sudden, I guess just because of the power of the thing going, I'm guessing it had to have been like the third time I was using it in that configuration. Damn thing, I noticed it spun in the thing. It wasn't like a continuous spin. It just did it once. And I was like, that's not good. And I was like, well, you know what? This is... I'll take it out. I'll like readjust it because just in case it like twisted the collar to a different grind setting. I remembered the number I was on. And so take it out, I'll do it again, and I'll make sure it's really tightly secured this time. And then, you know, that seemed to work. And then I was like, oh, also, maybe I can get it to a point where I can, you know, I was thinking in my head, and I think I mentioned it before too. So actually, maybe this happened a little bit before. But I was like, if it's going to be on the collar, then the collar is going to sit still. But you can still change the dial, because clearly it's a two-way thing, because you can twist the body and it's going to change the grind setting too. It's just you're moving one piece of metal over another piece of metal, so it's going to be flipped. The action is going to be flipped. So rather than you turning it counterclockwise and getting a finer grind, now you turn it clockwise, because in actuality that would have been counterclockwise if you were using the other bit of metal. That was my thinking. And so I was, you know, situated in that notion, and I said, that'll probably work. And then I just gotta be careful that it doesn't do that spin again, and I figured maybe I just forgot to tighten it down. And then the next time, not only was the shot extremely fast, like way too fast, considering how much I changed, how much finer I went on the dial. It spun again, really incredibly, like a lot, and I was like, fuck. And so I had to take the whole thing out again, and then of course I noticed this time, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't like that before, so I think it happened at that time. The damn grind, like the collar that controls the grind size, it was tilted. So it had like somehow forced itself off the threading, and it was all fucked up. So I was like, great, that's cool. So I ended up having to take that off entirely, which is not that big of a deal. You unscrew the collar all the way to a certain thing, and then it pops right off. And then you can screw it all the way, you screw it on, and then you can get it all the way down to 0, which we should zero it out from what I understand. And then you go back up, and then you work from there. And I was like, all right, so it's not me not screwing the stupid like cradle screw in tight enough, and then it gets loose, and then it turns the entire grinder in the thing. It's just like coming undone as I use it. So fine, and I think this is, I don't know, maybe this is Tuesday, or it's got to be Tuesday, I think. And so fine, I will, from now on, I'll get it where it needs to go again. I remember sort of the way the grinder works is that it only goes from like 0 to 9, and then it's got like stuff in the middle, right? But it's got these little marks on it. They're like little squares that form a pyramid, and so the less little square pyramids that you're on, no, that's not true. So the more, so it goes from, it's like a pyramid with, you know, the top, and then it goes 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, you know, yeah, all the way down to however many. I think it's 5 squares at the bottom. So the top is the very finest. So as you go down the little square pyramid and you have more blocks, that's, you know, supposed to be the coarser grinds. So I kind of remembered where the squares were. They were sort of somewhere between 2 and 3 squares and on like number 8, something like that. So I got it to where it needed to be after going all the way down, zeroing it out again, what I thought was zeroing it out again. And, you know, sometimes foreshadowing is fairly obvious. And put it back in. All these people who have kids running up and down the hall, it's such a... What? Oh. Chloe's body issues. Oh my. And, you know, not to give it away, but didn't work. Not only did the grind, despite the fact that it was on a setting that it should have worked, and it should have been fairly good espresso size, it came out like French press grind. And I was like, how is this possible? This doesn't make any sense. And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, there's no way this pulls anything good. And I don't want to sit here and waste time on it, so I guess I'll just put this in a little thing. I'll use it for like a dry rub or something, and then I'll move on and I'll try this again, something else. But I was sitting there and I was like, well, if I already tried this grind and it doesn't want to work, how do I get it to work? Let's watch this first, and then I'll continue.
黒屋もたくましくなったな。
なんだ突然。
いや、ずいぶん強くなっただろう。
どちらも言われて嬉しくはない。なんだか複雑な気分だ。
What?
なんでもない。こっちの話だ。
Cute. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know how it's possible that this is a thing. So I go, what happens if I just take it even finer? So like to the point that I feel like normally that would have made it like a brick fine, which is way too much for espresso, but we'll just try it and see what happens. Do it, send it through the grinder, turn on the stupid thing. It grinds so quickly, and I'm like, there's no way. If it was something actually, if it was actually grinding any sort of fineness, it wouldn't go that fast. And then I do it, I open it, and it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like if you had a grinder that was so poor at grinding, it took a bean and it just ground it into 4 quadrants and then called it good enough. That's what it did to all of those grinds, and I was like, I don't understand. I don't know how this is possible. And then I'm like, did I somehow reverse the? I'm thinking Miles O'Brien here. I'm like, did I reverse the polarity of my fucking grinder? Is what is supposed to be fine at the top now not the fine setting, and somehow the bottom is now the fine setting? Is that what I did? No, it just doesn't work in either capacity. The collar now exists for no reason, and even when I took it entirely apart and put it back together, the collar does nothing. The collar just it's just an accessory to the metal tube now. So the motorized adapter for the hand grinder because even though it said it was compatible, was someone either did not actually check or they were very, very generous with how they would consider compatible. And I mean, honestly, I would have had better luck if rather than doing what I was fucking doing, and I guess maybe this is what I should have had the thought of too, but I was like trying to use it the way that the thing was telling me to use it, all the way up until it like basically broke the hand grinder. I was like, well, I was thinking about it after. I was like, maybe I would have had better luck if rather than all this nonsense, I just had the hand grinder. I had it in my hand and I put it in the hex key and turned the damn thing on. And I would just like, maybe I put something like somewhat on top of the little thing so that it wasn't like going up and down, and just let it grind that way. That probably would have been a better option. Did I not get these? How is that possible? Huh. Also, let me look at the room cape real quick. What is this? Oh, Curse Plus. I think I've had one of those before. So, that was a wonderful, and by the time Wednesday came around, this is where all this is happening, is I think on Wednesday morning, and I was like, I can't be doing this. Every single time I fuck with this thing, it gets worse, and now it seems like it's just completely broken the hand grinder, and nothing I do seems to make a difference. It now just like, it just turns beans into slightly smaller beans. It doesn't even really grind them anymore. Clearly, maybe some of the fault was with me, but I feel like it just shouldn't have been on the compatibility list. Like it should be stricken from that compatibility list, because clearly, like if I couldn't have gotten it to work after that much fucking around with it, I can't imagine who else might have gotten it to work, unless you were doing, like I just said, you were just completely not using it the way that they were telling you to use it. Instead, they were just like, yeah, no, you just, you hold it, and you just put it, it's kind of like, it'd be like using a power drill on it instead, kinda. So it's like, rather than you holding it with all the stuff in place, you hold it, and you just make sure to not tilt anything too crazy. And honestly, that probably would have been better. You wouldn't have been able to, do like I usually. So whenever I use an electric grinder, generally what I do is I hot start it. So you turn on the grinder and then you put the beans in, and so it kind of like is already going, right? And generally things have less of a chance to give you grief when you do that. I've found it's not necessary. Like, you have really popular grinders like the Niche that you can't do that with, because I think they have like one of those little safety actuator things on the inside, so like unless you screw around with that, you can't actually hot start that. You have to open it and it turns it off even if it's running, and then you put your beans in and then you close it and then it'll allow you to run it. So, it's like, clearly it's not like a thing that's a game changer, but it is a thing that I like to do, and I feel like it was kind of made to be able to do that. So it didn't even occur to me until after all was said and done, and I basically didn't have the option to even go back and try it because now the hand grinder's broken. To try it like in any other way that was just like really weird, and I don't even know if that would have worked. Possibly, even if I did do that and I just sat there and Iron Manned it, and I was just like, alright, I'll just hold you in place and then let the thing grind. There's a possibility it might not have worked anyway. It might have like done something weird to the fucking thing, because like you want it to be straight too, which when you're holding the hand grinder and you're doing the grinding yourself, it doesn't really matter, because your arm and your hand together, you're gonna be kind of moving it like in concert. But when you have a thing that is ramrod straight, like a steel hex like ratchet bolt basically, that's on a motor that's, you know, the motor doesn't run very quickly, but it's still running faster than, you know, what a hand would be able to do, unless you're like, I don't know, maybe I'll look up videos of like the fastest hand grinders or something. I wonder if there's like a thing for that. That would be kind of fun. But you know, there's a, I can't imagine what sort of problems there could have been if you have it at just the wrong angle and it like cracks something, or it like flips it out of your hand weird because you're holding this like motorized metal that really doesn't want to bend, and you have it at exactly the wrong angle for the wrong period of time. You know, and if it was going slow enough that it was more like a stone mill, like if you've ever used a stone mill, like those little personal ones that people sometimes will get for like matcha making or whatever. Like if you get your own green tea and you try to like ground your own matcha from it. If it was something that goes like that slow, where it's like no matter what, you're not grinding a stone mill very fast, but with the motor it could be consistent. Maybe it would have worked. Maybe you could sit there and just really hold on to it and do your best not to make any weird movements and have it fucking flip out and or like fucking ruin the motor or do whatever. Maybe. But as it is, it was a gigantic failure. Thankfully, I didn't spend much money on it. Though it's still a waste of money. Basically money right down the toilet. And extra, because technically now, because now the hand grinder is broken too. I've had that hand grinder for a long time, so it's not like I didn't buy it for that. If I had, I mean, I would have just got the one that comes with it, because, you know, they have that option. But that's, you know, the whole reason you buy that, I feel, is that you already have a compatible one, and, you know, this is a less expensive option than getting a like higher end like end game grinder for espresso, you know? It's like, if you want to use that terminology. I will never spend the kind of money that I see people spend on grinders. Like, but there's like some of those things that are out there that are like $1,000. Never in my life. There's a lot of things that I'll spend money on, especially if they end up being like for convenience, you know? And I'm like, this is a big enough hassle that I'm okay with spending the money on this. Coffee is something I enjoy, and it's kind of become, it feels weird to call it a hobby, because it's not like I'm sitting there like actively, not like I'm doing, like I do with video games, where I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to sit here and really get into it, and I want to I kind of got into it by accident, like I mentioned, and I enjoy it because it gives me a good product at the end, and I enjoy the fact that I can make some good espresso. Pretty damn good espresso, if I say myself. Yeah, that's a damn good cup of coffee. Sorry. And it's kind of fun to tell people about it, and then like I remember telling my dad about, because he's one of those people that he's got one of what do you call them? So they're like the, I don't think it's like a bean to cup. Oh, maybe it is. It's been a long time since I've seen that machine. You know, haven't lived together a long time. But, you know, maybe it is. Maybe that's exactly what it is. He might have one of those, like, they're like, you know, $1,200 to $1,500 bean to cup machines. Anyway, he's got like one of those, I'm pretty sure, because I don't think he's making. I'm trying to remember the last time. Anyway, the point is that it's got to be something that's a little bit less of a. So because it's not a Keurig, because he doesn't like those. Because he doesn't like being like beholden to, you know, people's like, stock of nonsense, right? Which is like, yeah, you know, that was a lot of the problem that people have with those now, obviously, along with whatever other issues. But it's clearly not something that he has delved too into, which couldn't have really been possible without him having one of those bean to cup machines. Sorry, I burped right into the mic. Because otherwise you would be constantly pulling bad espresso. So he's got to have one of those where it's like you have the beans in it and it kind of just does it for you. Because otherwise, I don't think he'd be able to pull anything that's even workable out of that. Even if you were making a milk drink every single time and throwing like a syrup into it. I mean, that's gonna disguise a lot, but you would still have to. You would still be dealing with. You would still be dealing with. Okay, you don't want to choke a shot by having things be too fine, and you wouldn't want a shot to be too fast. Although I suppose if you're drowning it in milk and sugar and like syrups and stuff, maybe you wouldn't even notice. At least if it was too fast, because if it's too fast, you just, you know, you're just filling up a thing. I guess you're not particularly. I hope Jay is okay too. They really did just want me to walk all the way back through that place. That's so silly. This could have been a cutscene. So yeah, like yeah, maybe you wouldn't even notice, but either way, all of the other difficulties aside, I feel like he must have something like that, which kind of does most of the heavy lifting for you. Because I remember, and it took me forever to finally get back to the point, but I remember telling him, like, yeah, you know, I've gotten pretty good at it, and I'm, you know, generally I'm doing a 2 to what is it, like a 2 to 1 ratio and whatever, and he's like, doing a what? And then I had to explain to him, you know, coffee in, and then water out when you're pulling the shot, and
Oh, Jibo.
So yeah, fun to talk to people about, especially when there's a lot of people who have coffee that they just coffee is I guess it depends. Some people do coffee because they also enjoy coffee. Some people have coffee as it's a tool, you know, so it's like I don't talk to me before I've had my cup of coffee. How many of those people actually enjoy the coffee, and how many of them just actually need caffeine to wake up? Who knows? You know, I don't drink espresso in the morning because I need it to wake up. I generally do it just because I'm like, ooh, that sounds good. I like it, especially when I have, like, you know, I pull a really good shot, which is, you know, as long as I have a grinder that's working, it's usually most of the time. But, and I wish I was one of those people that, for tea, I can seem to drink it no matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter. Coffee, for some reason, the caffeine in that, in particular, always affects me a little bit more. So I can't just have it whenever I feel like, which is kind of a shame, because I would love to sometimes like cap off a day with a cup of espresso, especially after like if I like just had like food or something. Because especially with like a medium roast, a lot of medium roast coffees, they can be kind of like chocolatey, caramelly, which is, you know, I know, pretentious, like ooh, tasty notes, but you really do get sort of like a, it's like a, I don't know, because it's medium, it's not dark. I've never had a dark roast coffee that I liked. Okay, so all of these are all fake. These are all fake people. Let's get rid of that. And because I didn't get rid of that first one, it was like, oh, here, we'll open the floodgates and we'll send you a whole bunch that's just like, hey, I'm at work right now, but I'll send, you know, add me on Discord. About now. But it's I've never met never had a dark roast that I actually enjoyed. But medium, it's got like it's almost like a desserty quality to it. And then light roasts are very all over the place, where they're very interesting. Sometimes they can be more like citrusy, sometimes they can be more fruity, but light roasts are like, you really want to, they're very interesting, whereas the medium roasts are a bit more like, they're a bit more samey, even when they're like from entirely different regions of the world. Though that part of that could be my grinder, which, oh, do I want to go through the cutscene and then do this, or so? Nah, I'll just do it now. So, all of this to say with the grinder, finally, yeah, it's broken, and the motorized thing is garbage, and you know, I don't know, maybe I don't know how I'd repurpose that for anything. So, that's just I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. But I gave up Wednesday morning on it, and I was like, well, thank goodness I didn't get rid of the old one. But it's the old one is still kind of outliving its usefulness, because you can't take the grind size any finer than what it's currently at. It's all the way to the max. So I was like, I'm gonna have to just bite the bullet and get an electric one that does have more more range, you know, one that's actually going to be useful for espresso. Of course, ended up wasting, you know, however much money on the one thing. It wasn't a ton, but it was still about half of what I would have ended up spending on this anyway, after finding out that it was a terrible idea. Go figure. So, see when that comes in. That'll be fun. And then I'm just gonna, I guess I'll keep both. You know, Baratza I'll use it for other shit, and then I'll have the other one, and that'll just be for espresso. And that one's actually gonna be a 64mm flat burr, which is, we'll see how I'm gonna test it with some of my medium roast stuff first before I use any light roast stuff on it. But it'll be interesting to see comparatively from one to another grinder how much different the taste is, because people say that it is, and I trust some of those people. Some of those people's opinions I do value, but it's hard to really know how much is them, even when they're doing blind ones, whether they're actually doing that, or if it's just like, well, this is kind of their job and they get used to finding like the littlest things, whereas a person who does it recreationally wouldn't notice at all.
"俺たちのいない間にあの男と何かあったんだろうか?
とにかく家に様子を見に行こう。
Is his house the one with the hammer that just fucks about on the side? Or is that Popo's house and he just is there sometimes? Yeah, see? These hammers that don't, they just hit clams. Shells. Clam shells.
Jay, どうしちゃったっけ？戻るなり部屋に閉じこもったっけ？
話しかけても反応がないきゅ。
実は
その男は間違いなくソロンだきゅ。
J の知り合いか？
ソロンは J の育ての親なんだきゅ。前に J から聞いたんだっきゅ。J は実の親に捨てられたきゅ。
ソロンが赤ん坊の J を拾い暗殺者として育て上げたんだきゅ。
J が遺跡船に来たのは暗殺の仕事をするためだったきゅ。けどその仕事は失敗に終わったきゅ。
ソロンは何人もの部下を引き連れて遺跡船に乗り込んできたんだきゅ。
けど大掛かりな鎮圧部隊が編成されてソロンたちは大敗したんだきゅ。ひどい戦いで多くの人が命を落としたきゅ。ソロンは J をおとりに使い逃げ切ったんだきゅ。
一人残された J は傷つき力尽きてモフモフ族の村のそばに倒れてたきゅ。
そんであんたらが助けて一緒に暮らすようになったわけ？初めの頃 J は全然喋らなかったきゅ。感情の起伏も乏しくて表情だって少しも変えなかったきゅ。
笑顔を見せることなんてなかったんだきゅ。
あたしらと出会った頃も結構不愛想だったけどね。時間が経つにつれて徐々に明るくなったんだきゅ。最近の J は本当にいい顔をするきゅ。
特に皆さんと一緒にいると J は楽しそうに笑うきゅ。
けどさっき見た J の顔は凍りついてたきゅ。出会った頃の J には戻ってほしくないきゅ。
J にはいっぱいいっぱい笑っていてほしいんだきゅ。
ソロンとの再会が J に過去を思い出させたわけか。
J はずっと怯えていたんだきゅ。ソロンが再び目の前に現れることをずっと恐れていたんだきゅ。
ポッポたちは J を守るきゅ。ソロンから守るきゅ。
俺たちも協力する。
J をソロンの呪縛から解き放ってやろう。
とにかくあのソロンユンを早いとこ探し出さんとの。
俺の方でも情報を集めてみよう。
キュッポたちもいろいろ探ってみるキュ。頼んだわよ、ホタテ三兄弟。任せるキュ。
よし、状況は大体つかめた。一度東大の町に戻ろう。
ジェボのこと頼んだぞ。
No, I was hoping that we were gonna get a little backstory to that. So hopefully his face was, you know, well, obviously he was all freaked out, but also,
ジェイ、大丈夫だろうか。
ホタテがついてるから平気でしょ。だけど表情がすごく暗かったです。
あんなのあいつらしくない。
ほうじゃの。
俺たちの手でジェイの不安を取り除いてやろう。
お腹減ってないキュ。新鮮なホタテ食べないキュ。
ジェイと一緒にご飯食べたいキュ。
キュッポたちはジェイを待ってるキュ。お腹減ったら出てくるキュ。
ご飯は大勢で食べた方が美味しいキュ。
well, something about that made me really sad. Just I guess like the understanding of like, hey, you know, we'd like you to be here. You're obviously going through some stuff right now, but you know, we'll be here when you're ready. That's a very sweet sentiment and probably means more to people than a lot of other things that you could do, just to know that like, hey, if you need time, you know, it's like, then take some time. You know, you don't have to make yourself better for others or for yourself immediately.
.何度言えばわかるんだ、この無能が。私の手を煩わせるな。
ごめんなさい。
謝って許されるほどこの世の中甘くはできていないぞ。醜い姿を見せるな。まだこんな鈴を持ってましたか。
それは
捨てるようにと言っておいたはずでしたよね。
だけどこれは僕の家族を探す手がかりなんです。
ええ、よく知っていますよ。あなたを拾ったのは私なんですから。
だからそれは
こんなものにすがっているから強くなれないんですよ。
返してください。それだけは。
誰が意見を言う許可を出し した。
ごめんなさい。今度はうまくやります。許してください。だからお願いします。それだけは、その鈴だけは。
鈴は私が預かります。あなたが一人前になるまではね。
そんな。
何か文句でもありますか？
いえ。
やっと分かってくれましたか。あなたは私に従っていればいい。首を横に振る必要はないんです。なぜなら私はいつだって正しいことしか言わないんですからね。
はい。
それでは確認しておきましょう。のたれ死に確定のあなたをわざわざ拾って育てたのは誰ですか？
お師匠様です。
よろしい。だったら死ぬ気で強くなれ。私の役に立ってみせろ。どうせお前が死んでも誰も悲しまないんだからな。
はい。
殺しの道具に感情はいらない。お前はこの苦内と同じだ。人ではない、ただの道具になるんだ。
はい。
そうだ、それでいい。
僕が死んで誰も悲しまない。僕は道具なのか。みんなも僕が死んでも悲しまないのかな。
死んでも誰も悲しまない。人ではなく道具なのだ。
だけどあの人たちなら、キュッポたちなら僕を。
必要ない。誰も必要としていない。
やめろ、聞きたくない。
誰も人だと思っていない。道具なのだ。
違う。僕は
この命が尽きようとも誰も悲しまない。あってなきに等しきものよ。価値なきものよ。
それでも僕は
モフモフ族と言いましたか。なかなか愛嬌もあって愉快な連中じゃないですか。
くしょう。
彼らは何色の血を流すんですかね。どんな声で泣いてくれるんですかね。
ちくしょ
う。いやー、今から楽しみだな。ラッコが逃げ惑い泣き叫び命乞いをしながら死んでいくのはさぞ見ものでしょうね。
もうやめろー。僕にどうしろって言うんだ。僕はどうしたらいいんだ。
クーリッチ、起きろ。
もう少しだけ寝かせてくれ。
起きるんだ。
頼む。あと少しだ
仕方のないやつだな。あと少しだけだぞ。
Oh, Chloe, you're such a pushover.
け。ありがとう、シャーリ
Oof. Ooh. Ah, that hurts. That hurts me. Ooh. Ooh, that hurts.
さっさと起きろ。
なんだ、クロエか。
シャーリーでなくて悪かったな。
別にそんなことは。
根性なし。
また新作。
目が覚めたなら出かける用意をしろ。ジェイから話があるそうだ。今朝早くレイナードの家に来たらしい。誰かと違って早起きなことだな。
やけに絡むな。
そんなことはない。レイナードの家に行くぞ。
That's hard to come back from. Thank goodness I've never had the experience. But my god, I don't even know what I would do. I was gonna say before it went into all the cutscenes, either Jay is thinking about what to do, and, you know, so he's just intense face of concentration, or he's already resolved himself to do something which was stupid. But considering we're talking about it, you know, we're pulling together, we're pulling into the ready room, as it were, and we're talking it, I think. Hopefully this means that he has gone the not stupid route, and we're just gonna actually put our heads together and figure out how to deal with this, because clearly the kidnapping of Shirley for the 4th or 5th time in the row in a row is it's not it, Chief. I don't think I have anything else, right? Oh no, I might, because I think I got didn't I get a red something or another? I got like a red saffron or something. Aha! What else did I get? I could, which I don't really care about that. Yeah, there we go. I still can't do anything with this because I need multiple things, but at least I can give this to Shirley, which I cannot give to Shirley right now. Good. Cool. Forgot, Shirley's not with me right now, just Chloe, and Chloe's mad at me. Chloe's always mad at me. Look, Chloe, you could just join, like, you could just join with me and Shirley, and then we wouldn't have this issue. I could probably convince Shirley to do it.
ジェイ、もう大丈夫なのか？
なんです？改まって。
Uh-oh.
悪いがソロンの話聞かせてもろうたわ。
ホタテ三兄弟が教えてくれたからね。
まったく、おしゃべりなんだから。
Their heart was in the right place. Don't be mad at them.
心配いりませんよ。モーゼスさんじゃないんですから、自分を見失ったりはしません。
部屋に引きこもってビビっとったもんが言え。
ビビってたわけじゃありません。少し驚いただけです。
そうじゃとええがな。
うるさいモーゼスさんは放置して話を始めさせてもらいますよ。ソロンの討伐に行きましょう。
行くったってさ。
忍者を相手にするなら先手必勝ですよ。準備をさせる時間を与えればそれだけ僕たちが不利になります。
いや、そうかもしれないけどさ。
忍者を相手にして後手に回るのは危険なんです。
だからどこに行けばいいのかしらね。それよ、さすがグー姉さん。私はそれを言いたかったの。
Oh, is that what you were trying to ask? I'll be honest, what did I think she was gonna ask? I mean, I guess after the story that we heard, the "are you sure" sort of question doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because sorry. Because clearly Solon, oh, I was gonna mention this before. Solon is so, he's like I mentioned I think last time, he's very cartoon villain in his evilness. Why would you, so if you brought in a kid and you were like, okay, I'm gonna mold him into a tool to use as I wish, why would you then act like Dr. Evil but with less charisma, you know? Like, I don't understand why you would think there are better, more subtle ways to adhere someone to, like, your will, and giving them, like, a purpose that they don't question, because not only is it the only one they've known, but you make them think. Maybe this sounds like I'm a asshole crazy person, but it's like you give them no reason to think that anything is weird about it. Whereas this, it's just like, it's like the fuck, what are they? I was trying to think of something specific and I lost, brain poofed. You know, it's like you have a kid who's got, you know, shitty parents, and then they're, you know, but because, you know, they mostly, you know, if they're going to public school, they see that, okay, well, this isn't like how other people seem to get treated if they ever see other people around their parents, and so they understand it's different. Clearly, in this case, you know, even if he was like, all he saw was Solon and maybe the other ninja associates, he seemed to understand that, like, you know, Solon is an asshole, and he was just mostly trying to keep his head down. That's what he acts like. He was acting not as if, like, Solon was the entire world that he encompassed and that was all he knew. He was more acting like a kid with shitty parents, and they know they're shitty. They're just trying to make sure they stay out of the way as much as possible because it's just better for themselves in the long run. That's where the weirdness comes in. If you're trying to do some weird, you know what? Naruto had this problem, because they wanted to try to make things more lighthearted, which they shouldn't have. They should have went full dark down the, like, maybe not quite berserk dark, but like, hey, you're already leaning into, like, you have ninjas that are trained since, like, when do they start? Is it like, Kakashi started at like 5 or something, you know, they were in a war at the time, but and what did Naruto start at? Was he like 8 or something like that? Like, he was still pretty young. Like, they're, even during peacetime, they're starting really young. So you have these child ninjas who are learning to do violence very young. you should have leaned into that far more rather than it just turning into a sort of like typical, for all the anime I've watched and the manga I've read, I always forget the terms for some reason, like shonen, right? Where it's like, okay, well, you have your main character who is sort of like your embodiment of good, and you want to keep him that way. It's like, but yet that's Naruto would have been, you know, and clearly, you know, what do I know? Because clearly, you know, huge story, ran multiple movies, went fucking forever, you know, probably made him $1 bajillion, but it would have been a more interesting story to me, a more not coercive, cohesive story if they had gone down the route of, yeah, this is the world that they live in, and at first, you know, you start out maybe with, you have like, okay, they're like, yeah, we want to be ninjas, and you know, also where we have like the patriotism of our villages and whatnot, you know, the Will of Fire, and you know, the other villages have their stuff and whatever. And as your story grows, it's not, okay, well, Naruto runs into problems that he wants to deal with by just screaming as loud as possible that he doesn't want to actually do the job that he's been tasked with. He wants to figure out another way around it. Instead, it's, okay, how does he navigate this world that's far more, like, difficult. How would I want to say it? Like, people are complicated, situations are complicated. When you're working on some of the scales that you're working on, doing things like, you know, like some of the tasks they would take on were, ooh, what is this? There's a note in here. Announcement. What is this? Ah, I see. I'm going to read that later. Let's not get distracted by people talking about stuff. So, yeah. So, some of the stuff that they run into because of the missions that they go on, they're politically complicated. They can be economically complicated, you know, because you have, okay, this is the thing that we're doing because we need to, you know, open up like trade lines, because clearly you have all these like trade caravans running back and forth between like the different villages and whatnot. Like, villages have their own little ecosystem, but there's obviously a lot of routes of merchants going back and forth between all of the different villages. So it's like, if you have problems with that, you know, you gotta deal with it. And, you know, throughout all of this, you could have the bubbling up of the dark underbelly of what the job entails, and rather than just bucking that entirely as if it doesn't exist, you deal with the fact that it does exist, but how do you still be a decent person when and live your life and maybe even justify some of the things? And where do you draw the line? Where does it become unjustifiable? Those would have all been very interesting things to explore, but we didn't get any of that. That's stuff that probably, like, if you had had a story set back during the Ninja Wars, that's probably what those would have been entailing, you know, along with all of the fantastical stuff that you hear about that's like, oh, that sounds really cool, and then but you only ever, like, sometimes they reference it, but you don't really get to, like, live in that for very long. As it is, it's just mostly, like, it's a lot of good ideas that then get poisoned by just, well, this is how, you know, like a popular running show is probably gonna run, you know? Which was a shame. And Bleach had the same problem, which I think I talked about on a previous stream. It had a very good cutoff point that may not have been a good ending, but it would have been an interesting ending. Didn't do that. We kind of wrung it out, and then of course we ended in a really weird way. Ugh. Yeah. But it's fine. It's fine.
ご心配なく。居場所ならすでに掴んでいます。
ずいぶんと用意がええの。ビビって引きこもっとってくせにちゃんと働いちゃったんか。
だからビビってなんかいませんよ。
シャーリーはどうする？
あ、そっか。狙われてるのりっちゃんだもんね。私も一緒に行きます。みんなと一緒の方が安心できるものね。
僕もそれがいいと思います。近くにいた方が状況もつかみやすいですから。
それにみんながジェイさんのことでこんなに一生懸命になってるんですから、私も協力したいです。
背の字はええんか？
もちろんだ。シャーリーが自分で決めたことだからな。
Okay, well, that little ellipses gave me all I needed to know. So he isn't... Either he's not decided yet, or he's already decided that he is going to just... He's gonna do the stupid thing. I swear to God, I can't believe we're doing this.
なら決まりですね。忍者の潜伏場所は石化の遺跡です。
わかった。みんな行くぞ。
あれ？ジェイ君一人？
ああ、僕ももう行きますよ。
私もずいぶん成長したけど肝心なところが全然ダメだ。
頭が成長せんとはのう。かわいそうなやつじゃ。
モーゼスさんに言われるなんて、ノーマさん終わってますね。
ノーマちゃんかわいそうね。うん。
Wait, what?
わいも強うなったろ。
その調子で頭も成長させてくださいね。
どういう意味じゃ？
意味がわかるように頭の中身を成長させてください。
二度も言うな。
Also, the fact that Norma just said, "Yeah." Oh god, that's funny. Okay. I love how they always put me in the worst configuration in my life. We're gonna groove here. I can't believe we're really doing this, where we're just gonna be like, yeah, sure. We'll just we'll throw her to the enemy a 5th time. We'll do it a 6th time. Why not? Why the fuck not? Also, I had this thought, and you know, knock on wood, but it seems it could be a coincidence. I don't know why I went this way, as if like this was gonna make any difference. I was right next to the fucking entrance. But Whoops, sorry. So last week, last stream days is our next destination. And then he just taps away. I love it when I'm watching VTubers that like really actually mess around with their models and they do the little like the little Jimmy John tapping away and they walk off the screen. It's always pretty funny. Anyway, so the dropped frames thing that I was seeing last time so much, I had the thought, and do I have water in my thing or do I need to pour more? I need to pour more. It's getting hot. Getting fucking hot. Don't have the air conditioning on because the air conditioning is 8 bajillion decibels loud, and I don't want to have that on when I'm streaming unless I like unless it's like life or death. So the only thing that I had changed from any previous time was I put what do you call it? I have this air filter. It's like a air filter purifier thing, right? Got it however long ago, especially when I started running into so many more allergies as I got older. And normally I just have it like, for a while I just threw it wherever and I just had it like on the floor working away. But I figured at one point, and at some point it had to have happened like last week, I was like, you know what, this would go really good right here on the desk because especially when I'm having a pipe or something, I don't have like an outside that I can go, and I'm not just gonna walk outside and be in the parking lot because that feels stupid. So you know, I have sliding glass door open, and you know, screen door and whatnot. But then I have that too, just to help. And it's even when I was streaming last week, it wasn't on, and it wasn't even plugged in. But the Ethernet cable was right next to it, and I thought, that feels like it shouldn't make a difference, but maybe it does, because just the way that shit works, you know, cabling and unshielded, you know, whatever wiring is in like the power cord of this thing or that thing, I was like, maybe it makes a difference. It would be insane if it did, but maybe it does. So this morning I took it, I just put it on the floor, and you know, I'll put it back up whenever I want to put it back up. But all straight, it's been like an hour. Drop frames, it's only at 1.9%. Much better than like the 30 to 40% that I kept seeming to average. Like, what was it? It was like Friday through Sunday? Was it every single day? I don't even remember. I don't even remember what's in here. Oh, it's this place. That's right, that's right. With all the corridors. Oh no.
そんじゃ張り切ってロンロンをやっつけよう。
Don't give the cartoon villain a nickname.
ああ。
Thanks, Groon.
一応聞いておくが、ロンロンとはソロンのことか？
当然。そんな威張られても。他にいい案ある？
好きにしろ。認識できればそれでいい。
話もまとまったところでサクッといくぞ。
Oh my god, Moses is doing it now too.
グリューネさん、 楽しそうですね。
本人がいいならそれでいいんだがな。
俺たちも行こう。
ジェイ、どうした？
あ、はい、今行きます。今さら引き返せるはずがない。
Of course you can.
あなたねジェイボー、置いてくぞ。
誰が鼻垂れですか。
Here's the problem. Oh my god, it's gonna make me... Shouldn't I have everything? Alright, well, we're definitely not doing this. I'm gonna do... a holy bottle. Because I don't want to have to do more encounters than I'm absolutely forced to. Oh my god, and of course, immediately I go the wrong way. It's got its stupid wall. You ever... a very, very wild change in tact here, but you know, almost through a working week, so you know. You ever get pulled into a meeting and you're like, alright, and then afterwards, like they make whatever they're doing, you know, whatever they pulled you in there for, whether or not it's you know, let's, for the sake of argument, say it's not about you, right? Because that's a whole different thing, obviously. But it's going, hey, we're changing this thing up, we're letting everybody know, and you know, and if anyone has any problems or concerns or you know whatever, and then you talk about it, and they give you all of the specs of whatever it is that they're changing and what's happening, and people ask questions, and then they say something, you know, maybe you bring it up, maybe someone else does, and you go, oh, so what you're telling me is that you did this to make a change, to try to make things more efficient, you know, make maybe efficient and faster, but you've neglected to address some of the initial problems that exist in the first place, and so it's not going to help. You're just gonna be right back where you started, just in a new system, and who knows if it's gonna be better or worse. Maybe it'll be worse. That's a thing that I just dealt with recently. You can't carry another lemon gel. But would affect. And it's shocking. As a person who has worked basically all of my, you know, ever since, you know, I was allowed to work, you get a sense when you're not, you know, when you don't have half a brain, of how, okay, you know, I'm no mathematician, you know, I'm no Ian Malcolm, the book version, not the movie version, who, you know, is more of a, he's more of an idol than an actual mathematician. But I can, you know, I can see when there's a problem with things. And while maybe I can't give you a technical solution, I can identify where the problems are, and then with, you know, maybe some people to bandy the problem back and forth with, figure out something that's a little bit better. You know, even just as far as like a, let's call it a set of procedures wise, right? So when the shit like this happens, and you get pulled into a stupid meeting that you don't want to be in, and you're like, well, based off of the notes that I'm getting, it should be fairly quick anyway, and you're like, you know, it's whatever, I'm not gonna throw a fit about it. And then in the meeting, you're like, what do you mean you're doing something this way? It's like, that doesn't solve the root of the problem that you're currently having. But they don't care what you think, they're just letting you know that's what they're doing. So instead, you just have to go, alright, well, thanks for letting us know. And then immediately you turn to your coworker, you know, if you have one of those, what do they call them? That you have like your coworker partner, your coworker wife or husband or whatever. I think I'm that for my coworker. She's her husband knows my name and I've never even met the guy. So apparently I become a topic of conversation in their household. But you know, you immediately turn to them afterwards and you're like, are they fucking serious about this shit? And they're like, I knew you were gonna talk to me about it. I was like, of course I'm gonna talk to you about it. Can you believe that nonsense? It's like it's like, that's not gonna solve the problem that we're having. For multiple reasons. And they go, I know. you know, like office people do when, particularly of the older variety, when, you know, they've been there for however long, and, you know, and you know, like, clearly every year there's increasing difficulties and challenges to overcome, but I can't even imagine. Wow. Okay, what are we doing here? Let's see. Can I? Okay, well that's no good. I might be able to do it from over here. Maybe. Let's see. Maybe if I'm closer. Oh! Hey! Look at that. Look at that. Alright. I'm gonna say this is probably a good idea, and it's not something that's going to ruin me. Well, this one I can... No, I can't. Interesting. Okay. Well, what I can do is I can do this. Because I do need to get this out of here. Oh, but I need to... But I do need... Ah, here we go. Got it. Figured it out. There we go. No. Don't want to go this way, right? Maybe I do. No, I don't. Oh, buddy. Okay, so if I do this, and then I move this over. I can push this off the ledge. But where do I want to go? That's the other question. So I can... Okay, no matter what, I think this just has to go here, right? I can't imagine a world in which that doesn't make sense. Can't imagine it. Alright, well, this is no good, so we're gonna put... Here, there we go. So first of all, you go here. Ugh. Also, I'm getting so damn close I can taste it. Oh, hey, there we go. Didn't even realize it. Getting so close I can taste it on getting that damn video done. And what's really interesting, actually, is... how... I think I actually need to put this back. So you need to go here. If I don't... Well, that's certainly not going to do anything for me. Also, actually, wait, I'm being silly. There we go. Alright. I think this works. And then all I gotta do is... this might not work. It should. Oh. It's just barely in a weird way that I can't... Oh, I can't fucking do it. Okay. Alright. So... if I want to take this... this'll work. Okay, here we go. There we go. Because this exists right here, and then I can just... Oh, come on. Everything's coming up, Millhouse. Yeah, I'm doing currently... I'm adding music to it. That way it's not just silence for 40 minutes plus... Well, I mean not silence, because clearly I'm talking, but... Yes, it does. But yeah, so doing the music and finding the right balance so that it's not like too loud, which is, you know, you kind of find a negative decibel range to go with based off of the thing, and you just listen to it and you go, okay, that sounds pretty good, and then you generally keep that for most things. With, you know, some exceptions here and there depending on what you're using, right? But I have to say, of all of the process, and I don't know if this is just because that means that I'm getting pretty close to the end of it here, but it feels really nice to be able to just like... Because before it was, you know, clearly there was the very beginning, which had nothing to do with editing at all. It was just the sort of like script in heavy quotations, which was really just more like sort of there were notes and bulletin points that were then expounded upon, kind of like how I do here sometimes, but a little bit more regimented. So, you know, sticking more to the topic at hand. And then, you know, so that was the one thing after, you know, watching through the media again. And then and then after that was, okay, we'll take that into an editor and we'll get rid of all the too many pauses and, you know, ums like I do, you know, here and throughout the stream, probably constantly. Sorry about that. And then, which I also found, there's a way you can do that. Not, I mean, it's automatic, but you probably still want to, like, scrub through it anyway to find anything that's missed, or still there's too much of a pause in between things, or if you just have like bad takes. But apparently there's a tool for getting rid of bad takes too. How does it know it's a bad take? I don't know. I left one in. I might actually left two. No, I remember exactly the one. But it's either way, you know, funny how technology finds a way to speed that shit along. I'll try to use it next time and see how it works. I'll probably still have to go through it myself, but you would probably end up having to do less work. It'll just be like a little bit more cleaning up. So, you know, there's that. So then you got that, and you have that saved, and you're like, all right, I can live with this. You know, not that it's good, just I can live with it. It's not for me to say whether it's good or not, you know, because it's mine, you know. It feels weird to call your own thing good. Like, I'm glad that I made it. Am I gonna say it's good? It would be like if I wrote a book and then I told people, hey, I wrote a really good book, you should read it. That feels weird to me to say. Let other people say whether or not it's good. Anyway, and then after that was obviously all of the actual putting the video together stuff, which took the absolute longest. That's been weeks and weeks in the making, which was enjoyable in its own way, but clearly the slowest going of the thing, which is, you know, and I could have found more organized ways to do so, but you know, live and you learn. You know, eventually you'll get better at it. Maybe. Although it's one of those things that, like, would I be happy just outsourcing that to someone if I got to a point when that was a thing I could do? Yeah, probably. I would probably want to have my thing referenced just as like okay, this is kind of what I like, but just better, you know, which would be sort of funny. But either way, finally got through all that and was like fantastic. Feel like everything's in its place. Of course, found out later when I was doing some updates to things in like a mass done way, fuck some shit up. So I ended up having to like fix a couple of things. Hopefully I don't end up having to fix. I don't know how far into the timeline I currently am, but doing the music in the back, but doing the music, I'm placing the music. That's really all I'm doing. I'm doing that. I'm sometimes fading in and out. I'm making sure levels seem acceptable, you know. I'm not doing the music, but I was hopefully that doesn't mean that I have to fix any of the little specific cuts that I fucked up the first time, because one of them I noticed was like it was like a zoom in effect on something that I did, and you know, that took me a little bit of finagling over, and I was like, I screwed that one up. And then there was another one which was just a straight cut to a thing with the actual audio, and somehow that got fucked up too. And so now the clip existed, but the audio didn't exist. And I was like, how did that happen? And so I don't know how I don't know I have no idea how that happened. So that disappeared too. So, you know, in the course of putting the music in, I'm finding some of these other little things that ended up getting fucked up that I didn't even realize. But the whole putting the music in process is kind of enjoyable, just because now, this is gonna feel really stupid to say, but now it kind of feels like a video, you know? It feels like, oh, this is becoming like a finished thing. And as I'm like listening through, I'm not having to do little like, oh, this sounds weird actually, maybe I need to change that, or oh, how do I find a thing that fits this exactly? Like, the music I'm trying to get, you know, I don't want it to be wildly out of left field, but in the end, it's also just sort of background noise. It's sort of just, and you know what? I might even, and I guess we'll see how I feel when I get to like the end. I almost want to see if I can go in and do that. I don't know if there's like a specific filter for it. I know I've done it myself with certain things. There was like someone put on this, like, it's a PlayStation-like album for a PlayStation game that doesn't exist on YouTube. Very good. Actually, do I have the name of it? Hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. I'll tell you about it while I'm in the middle of looking. But it's a, oh, where would I even find that? Oh, it wouldn't be in here. It would be in the ambiance folder. Hold on. It is Emerald Paradise is the name. PS1 style atmospheric drum and bass. That's the name of the video. Very, very good. And not being used in the video or anything, by the way, but it's I'm using overclocked remix stuff because, number one, overclocked remix as a site just needs more love. So many good people making good music on there, and number two, it's kind of been like a comfort music for a long time for me, where it's like I love video game music, and there's a lot that I still listen to and have in like my music archive, but overclocked is very nostalgic. It's been with me for a very long time, so you know, I don't have the time to like listen to literally everything that ever comes out, but like if overclocked remix ever went down, it would be a very sad day. That would be a sad day, friends. But anyway, so using that. However, there is a small part of me, just because of the way that I have it framed. I'm using a particular framing device for them, and which I think I mentioned it before. I didn't mention what it was, but I mentioned in a previous. Like, it's probably not going to be to a lot of people's liking, because it's a little out of the norm. I see some people doing like a similar style, but they usually don't have it quite as pronounced as I have it. And so there's probably going to be a decent amount of people who are like, this is kind of hard to watch in the way that you have it. And, you know, maybe I don't bother. And, you know, and it's like, I understand. That's fine. However, I feel like with the way that I have everything framed in the way that I do, using the sort of context that I have it in, it would be kind of nice if the music also had that sound of like music in the next room, which, you know, you find a lot of people do that, whatever that filter is for some of it. I don't know. So I think some of them have like a pre-built-in one on certain applications, but you can also just mess with levels and whatnot, and there's like dampening and other shit. I forget what I did on the one that I have, but like you can do that just manually too, and it produces a very, very enjoyable, very soft sound. And you know, clearly you're losing some of the music tones and whatever, but when you want something that's just kind of like lulling you into like, I don't know, not like I was gonna say insecurity. It's like, you know, not trying to sell people or anything, so you know that doesn't make any sense, but you're trying to like draw them into I don't know, an emotion, a feeling, sort of a conversation, like you're trying to get your position across by not having a second party to bounce off of, you know. So you're just, here's my thoughts on things, they're gonna exist out there. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It doesn't, you know, one way or another, it's not like it's not like it's like a, you know, doesn't hurt my feelings. But it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if it gets anywhere at all, because I have no doubt that I could put all this work into this, put it up, and it exists forever with not one person coming across it, which would be very funny. And clearly a lot of the streams are very much the same, but it would be funny to have all of the stuff done, and then I'm like, hey, cool, and then I put it out there, and then it just exists, and then I don't think about it, and I'm like, all right, on to the next one. And it's almost like, I don't even know what it would be like. It's kind of like putting in quests for Monster Hunter. Like, maybe not the new ones, maybe more like the older ones. The older ones felt more, I don't even know how to describe it. It felt more video gamey, whereas some of the new ones feel more mobile gamey, if that makes any sense. Like, I didn't even finish Monster. I'm just rambling at this point. It doesn't matter what. Whatever. Monster Hunter is a good game. People like whatever Monster Hunter they like. I prefer the older ones. It felt more like an ecosystem and less like a monster gallery. That doesn't. It doesn't matter though.
警戒がやけに緩いな。
私たちが来ることを考慮してなかったのでは？
けどさ、私らがここに来た時点で普通は情報伝わるっしょ？
何か策が用意されているかもしれない。慎重に進んだ方がいいな。
モーゼスさんは特に気をつけてくださいねとか JJ が言うはずなのに。
Actually, I realize I need to finish that thought, otherwise it's a weird hang. So some of the old Monster Hunters, just because of the way older games were made, sometimes it felt like you were doing quests and they didn't, and it was like, oh cool, quest completed, right? And you were like, and you did all this stuff. But it wasn't like this. It wasn't like a huge production. And maybe this could be nostalgia talking and red tinted goggles. Wow, that was hard to say. But whenever I was playing World, I was like, do I even want to go do another? Like, this is gonna be like it turns into like an expedition. Like, that's literally, actually is now literally what they call it. Whereas when I was doing some in the older ones, like I'm thinking like Was the first one that I played on PlayStation 2? Whichever one I remember playing very first, I remember like you could technically play it online if you had a fucking like network connection that you could plug into your PlayStation 2, which is like how many people had that? I didn't know anybody. I knew people who knew that you could do that, but I never knew anyone who could actually do it. But anyway, like those missions, it was kind of nice to just go through them and get them done. It didn't necessarily go, it wasn't like, alright, I gotta do this like however many times because I'm, you know, I need to get this thing, or I'm trying to get like this armor set and I have to do it like 8 times, or an achievement, so I need to do it in a very particular way. It was just, here's a list of things that we need you to do. You know, get them done when you get them done, and we'll thank you for it. And then, you know, you just kind of go down the list. And I remember when I was playing the old Monster Hunter games on, you know, PlayStation 2 and whatever, maybe I should boot up one of those on a stream one time. That'd be kind of interesting, I think. I can't even remember what it was. What number would we have been in? I don't even remember. But it was especially because you weren't with all the online stuff yet. It was kind of like built around the fact that it's like, okay, you're gonna be doing these. Maybe if you're lucky, you might be doing stuff online, but generally it's gonna be you doing them. So, you know, we're not overloading everything. We're not tying it to, okay, well, you should probably have some friends, because, you know, how long do you want to sit here and whack away at a monster? You know, the health is enormous. And so you could just plug away and then go, hey, got it done. And then you're done, and then you move on to the next one, and then you're like, fuck yeah, got that one done too. And then you turn it in, and you're like, I'm gonna do the next one, but also, you know, time to stock up on some shit. And also, I think I learned a good way to do this a little bit more efficient next time. And then you do so, and it's, you know, I don't know, I feel like a lot of older games, because they're simpler, I just find myself enjoying them more. And, you know, that could just be old fuddy-duddy talking. It's hard to know without doing like a direct head-to-head. I just remember I couldn't bother getting through some of the newer Monster Hunter games, whereas I really enjoyed my time with the old ones, and I guess I would have to play it again and see how much I enjoy going through it as an adult with limited time. And like, is my time more valued in the older ones because you don't have that option to just lobby into whatever and call for help, or jump in with all your friends or whatever and be like, alright, now we all gotta get together and fight this monster for 45 minutes to an hour, you know? I guess we'll see. At some point, maybe I'll probably do that, because I actually am kind of interested in that.
Oi, Jabo. おつむの具合は大丈夫か?
モーゼスさんは人の心配よりも自分の心配をしてくださいね。
You know what's funny? I was just thinking about it today. How do you spell noggin? Is it with a K, or is it just an N-O-G-G-I-N? Apparently it's not with a K.
ジェーボーこそぼーっとしちょると足元すくわれるぞ。
バカ言わないでくださいよ。モーゼスさんじゃないんですから、僕がそんなミスをするわけないでしょ。
なんじゃとこれ。
敵地に乗り込んで騒ぐやつがあるか。
なんか ギクシャクしてない？何かすっきりしないわね。
ジェイ、心配事があるなら俺たちに話してくれ。
本当に何もありませんよ。みんなして嫌ですね。
じゃったら大便我慢しとるみたいな顔いい加減にやめたらどうじゃ。
シャンドル、言葉を選べ。
わい、おかしなこと言うたか？
いちいち聞くな。
まあモウスケだから仕方ないって。野生の男だから。
ようわからんが、まあええわ。自分が使えんでもわいがなんとかしちゃる。
油断するなよ。
Let's real quick. I'll be honest though, I don't know why I end up looking at most of these because, yeah. See, so I'm -6 between two different things, and I get plus 10 HP, but you know, it's 10 HP at a like 3 to 4K depending on which character you're looking at. That's really nothing. Oh God, I forgot that there's more to this place. Oh no. I think I was gonna look up Groon's voice actress and I did not. I kinda wanna do that just for posterity's sake because I am interested in what else she may have voice acted in. I've also learned that, especially over the last when did all the COVID nonsense happen? It was 2020, right? Yeah. So, especially once that started, and you know, depending on who you were and you know what you were doing, a bunch of things changed very rapidly. But I learned that one of the things that I really enjoy about anything content creation wise is it really doesn't have much to do at all with like nice editing and stuff is good too when you have it, but it really doesn't have much to do at all with like the I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, because clearly depending on what it is, you're gonna have video and you don't want it to be nothing, but even when it is nothing, I can forgive that as long as the voice is one that I enjoy. Like I have a streamer that I'm, my favorite, and what would you call it? Like the timbre of their voice is just something that's very soothing, very nice to listen to, even when I'm at work and I'm just listening to it in the background, and I have to have it low, because especially during days that are like kind of a nightmare, if it's too loud, I feel like I end up getting frustrated with myself because I'm like trying to think, and then also like I'm trying to take the words in at the same time. So sometimes it's low enough to where like I can hear them, but it's not like loud enough to be too distracting. and it's just like, yeah, it's just like the resonance of the voice, and they could be talking about anything, and it really doesn't matter. Like, it's just like it's comforting to have that there, and I've learned that that's like my biggest 100%. If you don't have a voice, at least for me, maybe for other people, it's entirely about the content within the words, which is, you don't want to discount whatever they're saying entirely, but clearly, depending on what you're watching, you know, it's gonna make more difference or less of a difference depending on what it is. But, you know, if a video turns on and I'm like, oh, hey, they have like a really, you know, they have like a very good speaking voice, or they have a good like, well, they have like a good radio voice. You know, they're very, very clear, very enunciated, and you know, very. I prefer natural. I rather than. I say performative. Not in a pejorative way, because a lot of people that has become sort of an insult. But like, you can be performative on purpose without being an asshole about it, because clearly you have things that you want to be performative, you know, like theater. Obviously you are performing, so you have a performative like spin to how you deliver your lines, right? You're not delivering those naturally. You're delivering them in sort of an exaggerated fashion. So that's kind of what some people do that in their YouTube videos. I'm not so into that. It sort of gets on my nerves a little bit. So even if the voice is good, if it's a little bit too, it's tweaked up a little bit too much on that end, I'm like, I can't do it. But anyway, the whole reason I brought this up and I stopped it dead in the middle of a cutscene again. Very talkative today. I think I mentioned this last time, especially after like however many days of a work week. The stream days start off very talky. I don't want to shut up for whatever reason, and then it kind of tones down as the days go on, depending on what I got going on. But the voice actress for Groon, you know, clearly she's playing it up as soft-spoken Onesan, but even then, it doesn't feel like too forced, and it's very, it is very enjoyable sounding. Like, if she had an ASMR channel, I'd probably listen to it. That's what I wanted to, that's what I stopped everything dead in its track to talk about.
調べても意味ないんじゃない？
何か見つかったのか？
シャーリーさん、ここを見てもらえますか？古国語で何か書かれてます。
お兄ちゃん。
ジェイ！我何しとんのじゃ！
お前、ソロン！
さすが親愛なる我が弟子。素晴らしい働きでしたよ。
ジェイボー、どういうつもりじゃ！つまらん冗談はやめ！
冗談も何もないでしょ。だってこの構図ですよ。裏切り以外考えられますか？バカですか？あなたはバカですか？
いい度胸じゃ。悪い、かかってこいや！
野獣にはちょうどいい檻でしょう。見物小屋でも作って金でも取りますか？愉快ですね。実に愉快ですよ。
ジェジェ、嘘だよね。こんがき、答えろ。
いい。実 実に素晴らしいですよ。あなた方の信じられないという表情、全くもって傑作ですよ。最高ですよ。たまりませんよ。これぞまさしく人生の喜びですね。
ジェイ待て、お前の言葉で理由を言ってみろ。
ピーチクパーチクするのはその辺で終わりにしていただきましょう。青臭い叫び声を聞くと気分が悪くなるんですよね。
また同じ手品か。芸のないやつじゃの。
あなた方の顔もそろそろ見飽きました。今後はこいつの胃袋の中で仲良くやってください。では失礼。
待て。
こんな時に黒い霧が。
Wait a minute, that's interesting.
どうか丸っこいのになりませんように。お願いしたそばからなるな。
Huh. Well, at least they give me some time to bother with who I wanna do this with. I guess this is fine. Chloe, I think, always dies too quickly. I could do Norma, but she takes too long to do any sort of healing. Also, hey, this enemy actually looks different. It doesn't just look like the same one with a different colored top hat. Okay, well, I'm going to heal myself. Because this is... Yeah, thank goodness I did, because he wasn't going to get to me in time. I'm going to use up a whole lot of these lemon gels. Ow. Oh my god. Seriously? Oh boy, okay. Lemon gel. Me, please. Oh, everybody's dead. He's not even halfway. This sucks. So, I guess we'll get Will up first. And then we'll get Durin up second. And then we'll get Moses up. And I'll tank some of this damage until maybe they heal themselves. Apparently not. Never mind. I won't be doing that. Oh, hey, it saved my input. So I healed myself immediately afterwards. That's pretty good. I like that. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen. Like, I know it'll save the input for the magic, but I don't know if I've ever seen it do that with an item after I died. That's pretty neat. So you can actually plan around that a little bit. Ow. Well, look, guy. I'm perfectly fine if you focus on me, because I can heal myself. Oh, whoops. I can heal myself a whole lot faster than these guys can. Although, that being said, I wish we had items that were like party heal items. That would be so nice, and for some reason we're just not allowed to have them. I guess I should heal Moses. And then I'll Miracle Gel Rune as well. No, don't get in the middle of the battle. You're not hardy enough for that, I don't think. Ooh. We will. Ow. Okay, he's too fat for me to grab. I guess I should have figured, but you know, I wanted to believe in myself a little bit. Ow. It's weird that sometimes he just gets confused and he doesn't know where he needs to go. I'm gonna heal myself with one of these guys, I think, because I'm not quite at the level where I absolutely need it. Oh. You know what? Now I need it. Okay, do not. Will, it would be super nice if you would heal Moses. Okay. Love that. Love that. Yeah, just walk away. Walk away, it's fine. I'm going to heal him now. Not necessarily because I need his help with the damage, but because I need his help with this. There we go. And now we're pretty damn close to you being dead. Hey, I feel like we were pretty good. We were pretty efficient here. Ow. Look at that! And everybody was alive at the end. Pretty damn efficient at that, if I do say so myself. This is like the 12th time now. Also, you're hurting the chairs.
Jay ちゃん、どうしちゃったのかしらね。どうもこうもないでしょ。あの裏切り者。
何か理由があるように思える。
ジェイちゃん、とっても寂しそうな顔してたわね。
アホが悩みがあるんじゃったら言え言うたじゃろ。一人で隠れ込んでこのざまか。
俺たちはジェイにとってその程度の存在なのか。 今まで共に過ごした時間はその程度のものだったのか。俺たちはそんなに信用できないのか。
クーリッチ。
なわけあるか。チェボの笑顔はほんまもんじゃったわ。ワイらと遊んで心から笑うとった。
そうだな。最近の J は富に明るくなっていた。
みんなと一緒にいたからよね。うん、そうだよね。 JJ にだって事情があるはず。
だったら決まりだ。何としてもシャーリーと J を助けるぞ。
潜伏先を割り出すには情報が必要だ。
ホタテランに手伝わせよう。情報収集ならお手のもんだし。
そうだな。モフモフ族の村へ行こう。
クーリッチ。
シャーリーの力を悪用させたりしない。そんなこと二度とあってはいけないんだ。
シャーリーは必ず助け出す。私たちもいることを忘れるな。
クロエ、
任せろ。この剣はそのためにあるのだ。
Also for stabbing you sometimes.
頼む。
Wonderful. This is exactly what I didn't want to have happen. I can't believe we're doing this again. This could have very easily been a subversion of the trope. Instead, it's just the one that we always see. Thank you, Will. Also, Moses getting all upset for Jay's sake, asserting the fact that like he was real. It very much it gave me flashbacks to when what? I'm not gonna remember what season it was. I'm not nearly as well versed in the Venture Bros as I am in like, say, some of the Star Trek shows, but it was when oh god, I might even remember. It's gonna drive me nuts because they're just numbers. That's just their name. So number 21, I think, he loses his partner, number 24, I think, and so then, like, this sort of comedic, invincible duo, invincible just by virtue of it being, like, they were sort of like the silly trope, is now broken apart, and that doesn't turn out to be a joke. That's just real. And so he loses his best friend and he has to like sort of deal with that. And for a little while he doesn't. He's sort of coping in a way that is like denial. And in the context of the show, you're not sure if it's, like, entirely in his head, or if some of that is real, because, you know, it's a TV show about, like, supervillains and shit. So, some of that could just be, can I just open this or something? No. No, because these don't work anymore, I don't think. I think that could happen in this universe. You know, They have a space station on the moon. So, at some point though, clearly, either, and I don't know if they actually, I don't know if it was ever like a confirmed thing or not, or if this was just left up to the viewer's imagination, but at some point, he gets to a point that the either the figment of his imagination that was his partner 24, or the actual ghost of 24 figures, alright, I think you got it now. You don't need me here anymore. And he disappears. And he's just gone from the show after that. Like, he doesn't become like a forced ghost where he'll like pop up whenever in the time of need. He's just gone. And that little scene with Moses kind of reminded me of that, where Henchman 21 had a breakdown when he realizes that 24 is gone, like, for good. He's just not here anymore. And not necessarily because the emotional impact was the same or anything, because that scene in Venture Bros like actually moved me to tears, whereas this was, you know, he's being defensive of his friend, but I think it was just the way that it was written in the subtitles there was really what it was. It just like it just hit me with like a brief flashback to that, and I was like, man, I miss Venture Bros. Venture Bros was a very good show. I don't know, and of course the monkey's paw would curl if anything ever happened where they said, hey, sure, we'll bring it back, but now, like, you have to give up some sort of creative freedom or writing to some other, you know, whatever the hell, to bring it back. And I would hope that they, what are their names again? It's like Doc Hammer and something. Oh, I forget his name. Sorry, guy. I Doc Hammer I remember because, you know, that's almost like a superhero name in itself. But it yeah, I can't remember his name, but either way, they are a very good, it's kind of funny how a lot of the really good TV shows, they end up having like a duo of writers that just like really mesh well together. South Park was the same way, although South Park has now I think I lost interest in most of what South Park was doing by, I think, season 19 or 20, give or take. I don't know what season we're on now. I want to say it's like 27 or 28. But yeah, I think I was out by about 19 or 20, give or take. But, you know, still, that's a lot of seasons leading up to that were very, very good. Ah, Jesus. And, you know, Venture Bros was a bit more distilled in... And I guess because they weren't as beholden to, like, quick turnaround times. Which I'm not entirely sure. I've heard speculation that... What was it? The head of Adult Swim just had, like, a really soft spot for the Venture Bros. And so he kind of just let them get away with, like, just taking whatever time they needed. Which is why... comparatively for how long it was on air, it doesn't really have that many episodes. I think it only has how many seasons does it have? Is it 5? Hold on. Once I'm through with this enemy here, let me go look real quick. I can pull that up real fast. It'll take me like 2 seconds. Hold on. Okay, I'll 7, and I don't remember. And then of course the movie that came out. Does this give me years? No. But either way, for however long it was on, I want to say they said it was like 15 years. Maybe it was 20. It might have even been 20. But considering how long that is to only have 7 seasons, that's you're really you're lucky. Because for most places, like by the time that 20 years had gone by for South Park, I'm pretty sure they might have had a season out for every year they were on, which is a lot of episodes. Maybe it was a little bit less than that. They might have taken some breaks in between. So maybe it was more like by the time like 20 years had passed for South Park, they had like 15 to 17 or something out. But yeah, we'll return. But in wait a minute. I don't want to be on this side. I want to be on the other side. It didn't occur to me to actually have to go to the right direction. But yeah, so Venture Bros, in comparison, is a little bit more distilled in how its quality is, where it starts off a bit more goofy, and then it really hits its stride, and then it's still funny. It's still a very funny show, but it hits you with a lot of emotional weight that you probably aren't expecting. Also, just fantastic characters all around. I can't, like, you know, it's... Don't need to listen to me gush about it. Go watch, Stank... Fuck. Sorry, my dude. Oh. Oh, no. I ran out of WoW. And I grab this without it being a gigantic pain in my ass. There we go. Yeah. Steak Bentley, the same guy who did that very fantastic 4-hour long Metal Gear Solid 4 video many years ago. Sorry. He did some very good Venture Bros videos. Watch those. They're fantastic. Steak, we need you back. Give me another video about a show I've never heard about before.
やけに静かじゃの
う。みんな寝ちゃったのかな。お昼寝はいいわよね。
いくらなんでも静かすぎるだろう。
とにかくキュッポたちを探すぞ。
誰かいたか。
おらん。
こっちもだ。
おかしいわね。ホタテちゃんたちどこに行ったのかしら。
Oh fuck! It just Oh goddamn! I guess I was fucking chugging water earlier because it's so goddamn hot in here. It just kind of like it's one of those problems where when you live alone for long enough, you sometimes forget certain bodily functions just like come and go and you don't even think about it. For someone like me who's like, one of my things is I like, other than maybe if I really can't help myself in between some talking, maybe I'll make a joke out of something one of the characters says. Like, I want the cutscenes to like here I have control of it. The cutscene doesn't go until I press go, but I don't want to interrupt them. And then I'm just sitting here, getting cozy, wondering where all my little otter friends are, hoping that they didn't get kidnapped, and then just brr. Son of a bitch.
今度は何だ。
ホタテラの家に置き手紙があったのよ。とにかく家に来て。
Chloe, you could have picked up the letter and then brought it to us. Wait a minute, no, Chloe? That was Norma. Why did Chloe leave the party? Hold on a minute. Is she in here?
これが置き手紙だ。読んでくれ。
お願いだからジェイのやったこと許してやってほしいキュ。
ジェイは脅されていただけなんだキュ。
ソロンの仕事を手伝わないとキュッポたちは皆殺しだったんだキュ。
ジェイはポッポたちを守るために仕方なくやっただけなんだキュ。
ソロンは差し違えてでもキュッポたちが仕留めるキュ。だからジェイを許してほしいキュ。
ジェイにはみんなが必要だキュ。
お願いだキュ。ジェイのことよろしく頼むキュ。
キュッポたちは知ってたのか。
ジェイが話したとは思えない。おそらく自分たちで調べたんだろ
う。どいつもこいつも勝手な真似しよって。ワイらは何なんじゃ。そがに頼りにならんのか。
その気持ちを本人たちにぶつけてやれ。何としても居場所を突き止めるぞ。俺は町に戻って情報を集める。
ワイも行くわ。兄弟に手伝してやる。
頼む。
話が違うじゃないか。ちゃんと仕事はしたんだ。モフモフ族のみんなには手を出すな。
おや、そんな約束を誰がしましたか。夢でも見ていたんじゃないですかね。
ふざけるな。
口には気をつけてくださいね。私は気が短いんですから。その辺のことはよーく知ってるでしょうに。
あなたはクズだ。
口の利き方には気をつけると言ったばっかりだろうが。物覚えの悪いガキだな。
What?
ん？なんだ？葉っぱか？ああ、これはあれか。星殺しの道具が随分と人間らしいことをする。
返せ。
さてさて、何が書いてあるのかな。お前は笑いの天才か。私を笑い死にさせる作戦か。
ふざけるな。
いい、実にいい。こいつは傑作だ。後発人の女、何が書いてあったと思う？知りたいか？知りたいだろう？特別に教えてやろう。笑う準備はいいか？家族が欲しいだとよ。誰が？お前が？うわは
何がおかしい？
Yeah. You know, Jay, you're in a perfect position to just knife him right in the spinal cord. What? He's old and feeble. You could take him down.
おかしいだろ？おかしすぎるだろ？これを笑わずして何に笑えばいいんだ。
Well, okay, he's not feeble, because clearly he seems to still have some sort of strength to him. But like he was already gray-haired by the time that he took you in and was being comically evil. And now you're all grown up and he's comically evil some more. But still now older even than he was before. You gotta, you could probably overpower him by now. Unless he's being, like, suffused with the power of the dark mist. Because that was weird. Like, he's already so evil that the mist is just like, oh, we could just, like, fill you like a vessel, like a gourd. We'll just go right inside you. You don't even resist. You don't even resist at all. This is great.
お前なんぞに家族ができるものか。この人殺しが。
あなただけは許さない。
悔しかったら取り返してみろ。やってみせろよ。家族が欲しいだと？家族が欲しいだとよ。家族が欲しいだってよ。
何がいけないんだ。何がいけないんだよ。
自分が一番よくわかってるだろう。道具には家族なんてできないってな。
僕が家族を欲しいと思っちゃいけないのかよ。
I'm not even really sure why Jay is arguing with him. I guess it's just because he feels powerless. And he's kind of got like a complex against him because of all the abuse over the years. But this is a very simple solution. Like, we could have really just gone along with what we wanted to try. Because, what... I have to imagine that whoever he has underneath him is probably not stronger than he is. Just by, like, video game logic. So, we take him out, we're probably good, even if he had, like, some directive that it's like, okay, we'll execute this plan in case I disappear and I don't make a call-in at this time, or whatever, you know? We'd probably be able to deal with it.
おお、いけないね。
笑うのはそこまでだキュー。家族ならここにいるキュー。
ポッポたちが J の家族級。家族をいじめるお前を絶対に許さないキュー。
3人ともどうして。
キュッポたちだけじゃないキュー。モフモフ族全員で J を助けに来たキュー。
それが家族というものだキュー。
ラッコが泣かせてくれるな。
他の忍者はすでに抑えたキュー。
Oh my god. Ha! Get slapped.
ラッコが味な真似をしてくれますね。
突撃キュー。
2人は逃げるキュー。
ここは任せるキュー。J をよろしくキュー。
Oh, surely.
ラッコが調子に乗るな。
She didn't even question it. She just picked up the leaf, the leaf. She picked up the leaf and then dragged him out. She was just like, "Come on, you're fucking coming with me, stupid."
やっぱりみんなを置いてはいけない。
今から戻って何かできるの？戦うことができるの？足手まといになる人間を私は送り出すわけにはいかない。
だけどみんなは僕が守らないといけないんだ。
いい加減にして。もう分かったでしょ？キュッポたちはすごく強い。戦う力があるわけではないけど心がとても強いんだよ。あなたとは比べ物にならないほどに。
僕はモフモフ族を守っているつもりだった。だけど守られていたのは僕の方だったのかもしれない。
大切なものを守るために危険に立ち向かえる心の強さをキュッポたちは持っているの。何かを犠牲にしたとしても立ち向かっていける本当の強さをね。あなたの心はとても弱いけど、その弱さの代わりに 敵を倒すための力を持っている。
敵を倒すための力。
それはキュッポたちにはないものなんだよ。誰も一人で全部は持っていないの。だから私たちは手を取り合うんだよ。協力するの。助け合うんだよ。
けど僕には手を取り合える人なんていない。
本当にそう思ってるの？みんなが今の言葉を聞いたらどう思うか考えたことある？みんな気にかけてくれてたよ。手を差し伸べてくれてたよ。お兄ちゃんもモーゼスさんもあなたを心配してくれてたのに、自分でその手を振り払っておいてそんなこと言うのは許せない。
それはだけど僕は
誰かを信じるのはすごく辛いことでもあるの。だけど勇気を持って踏み出さないと。自分の気持ちを打ち明けないと。傷つくのは嫌だけど信じ合える人が欲しいなんて、そんなのただのわがままなんだよ。
わがまま。
傷つくかもしれないけど踏み出す勇気を持たないといけないの。待ってるだけでは何も変わらないから。私はそれを理解するのにみんなにたくさん迷惑をかけた。陸の民を信じられなくなり、お兄ちゃんを信じられなくなり、自分の殻に閉じこもった。だからこそわかるんだよ。みんなの気持ちがよくわかる。前を見ないとダメ。みんなの顔をちゃんと見ないとダメだよ。向き合っていかないと。私はみんなのところに戻る。みんなの力が必要だから。キュッポたちを助けるためにはみんなの力が必要だから。
僕は
最後は自分で決めて。
僕はモフモフのみんなを守りたい。今の僕にはみんなの力が必要なんです。
みんなのところに帰ろう。
はい。
ジボーとジョーちゃんが戻った。村の入り口だ。
分かった、すぐ行く。
起きんかい、シャボン娘。
I misread that. I read it. I read it as "wake up, bimbo," and I was like, "Whoa, whoa!" Not an accurate descriptor, but also whoa. And it's like, no, it's Bubbles.
ズボンがずり下がってポロッと出そう。いやい いない。鼻に指入れないで入れないで。は
おきんかい。
あ、なんかポロッと出る夢を見た。
寝ぼけてる場合かよ。
That's so funny. So I'm glad. I mean, I'm desperately worried for them, but I'm glad that we've come to this like pretty quick conclusion here, where the Orsoran are like clearly, and I feel like he should know this. But he's like, okay, they're not stupid. They know a lot more than their cuteness, you know, might lead you to believe. And they're obviously more capable. Like that one Orsoran by himself knocked out that ninja in a couple of slaps. So like they're pretty reliable. However, we're still stronger. And we could have probably taken care of this issue if we had just talked it out in the beginning. But, you know, we had to have the conflict, and then we had to have the resolution music guitar kick in, and, you know, and then now we're here. It reminds me of... I'm trying to think, do I only got like about 10 minutes and then I gotta go, give or take. But, it reminds me, I keep cracking my knuckles, and my hand is hovering pretty close to where my mic is, so it probably sounds really loud in the thing. I apologize if that's the thing that bothers you. It reminds me of my biggest gripe of... Oh, that's interesting. Well, I guess maybe I'm gonna save this now, just in case. Because either someone did something really stupid, or someone pulled a thing that they weren't supposed to. Because the fire alarm is going off. I wonder if that's been going off for a while, I just haven't noticed because, it's not like super loud. I can hear it in the hallway, but it's, I don't even know. I don't know if that even picks up on the mic, other than maybe I have to, because when I wasn't talking I couldn't hear it, or I didn't see the mic jump up. I guess I'm gonna call it here, even though it's... I kind of want to keep going, but just in case it's like an actual thing I need to care about, I guess I'll call it here for today. Let me save this again. But anyway, good stream. I'll try to remember what I was talking about for tomorrow night. I'll try to remember. Mental note. I was gonna complain about one of the few gripes about Lord of the Rings. I'll try to remember that for tomorrow night. But alright, I guess I'm gone just in case they actually did something stupid, and you know, hopefully not. Alright, bye.